In a retaliatory military operation after weeks of strategic restraint, Iran launched a symphonic barrage of long-range ballistic missiles at key Israeli military installations in and around Tel Aviv on October 1st. Each missile with a heavy warhead found its mark, slipping past multiple layers of air defense, as if they were mildly inconvenient clouds, leaving Israel's much-hyped military infrastructure reeling. As the dust settled and uncomfortable truths began to emerge, the Israeli regime swiftly enacted a media blackout, banning any discussion of the number of casualties or the extent of damage. After all, invincibility is easier to claim when nobody sees the broken glass. The regime brags about its military invincibility and impenetrable radar systems. Iranian missiles made mincemeat of them. Among the key targets were the Tel Nof Air Base near Tel Aviv, the Nevatim Air Base that houses F-35 warplanes, the Ramon Air Base and the Hatzarim Air Base, among others. For the few journalists audacious enough to report on Operation True Promise 2, and the damage it caused, like Jeremy Lafredo of Gray Zone website, daring came with a price-quick detainment and trumped-up charges, a modern reward for seeking the truth. But information has a habit of leaking out, and so it did. Reports of massive damage inflicted by Iranian missiles like the Ghadr, Imad, and the hypersonic Fatah-1, a reminder that not all high-tech military systems can withstand the power of Iranian missiles. It's not for nothing that Iran is today known as a missile and drone power in the world. The missiles didn't just destroy the military infrastructure, scores of soldiers stationed at these bases also vanished into thin air, though Israel's official line remained notably silent, preferring downplay over transparency, to avoid further embarrassment and humiliation. A journalist who spoke to eyewitnesses there told me that the Nevatim Air Base, which has served as a launch point for deadly air operations against Gaza and more recently Lebanon and is located deep inside the Negev desert, said dozens of missiles landed inside the base, inflicting heavy damage. The attack brought the base to a grinding halt and resulted in scores of military fatalities. The regime, however, refused to publicly acknowledge it. He also referred to the missiles that landed in Tel Aviv, near the Mossad headquarters, which destroyed a good part of the city block, resulting in both human and collateral losses. Again, it wasn't made public. Cars were entirely destroyed, debris covered everything in a 200-foot radius, and the missile crater, which was at least 50 feet wide, was filled in and covered with dirt, almost immediately by Israeli authorities, which underscores how embarrassing this was for Israel, which boasts often about the efficiency of its billion-dollar missile defense systems, the journalist told me. Just weeks later, on October 18th, the Lebanese Hezbollah resistance movement delivered a less subtle but strong message, this time with a drone dining room delivery, straight to the Golani Brigade's reconnaissance unit in the occupied city of Haifa. Israeli media initially hesitated before begrudgingly confirming 5 soldier deaths. However, as sources under the cloak of anonymity later revealed, the real number was much higher, buried under layers of secrecy and silence that have come to characterize the Zionist military's standard operating procedure. Recent ground battles between the Israeli military and Hezbollah resistance fighters in southern Lebanon have evidently driven Israeli forces to the breaking point, with eyewitness accounts suggesting Israeli fatalities in the hundreds, as well as destruction of Merkava tanks, military bulldozers, armored vehicles, troop carriers, as well as Hermes 450 drones. The regime in Tel Aviv, however, trickles out only a fraction of these grim numbers, counting soldiers in tens instead of hundreds to soften the blow to the morale of settlers who continue to live in fear. On Sunday, an Israeli army spokesperson reluctantly announced the deaths of an officer and 3 soldiers from Battalion 8207, Alan Brigade 228, during the ground battles in southern Lebanon with Hezbollah under the "permitted to publish" clause. So, the publication of such content must fit these ambitious clauses. No credits were provided in the brief.